Hello everyone, it's Jen, Scrapbena Creations. I'm so excited to be back with another collaboration with Kristie Marcotte, and this time Mary Polanco is joining us. So for this collaboration, we are using the Chloe 6x6 paper pad. I'm going to show you the different designs here. And we also used the ephemera icons, which are really sweet. I'll show you the back of the package, and then I will show you all of the different ephemera laid out into a tray that I frequently use when I do a multiple card video. So in total, the three of us have 61 cards for you to enjoy and hopefully provide a little bit of inspiration. This was a super cute collection with all the little kitties. The only thing I think if I had to give some feedback was I wish there weren't so many flowers in this collection. They were really pretty and I do use quite a few of them, but I wish there was some more cat type little accessories instead of all of those flowers. But other than that, I had a great time using this collection. So for the sentiments, I'm also bringing in two stamp sets, the Heffy Doodle Purrfect Day and Sunny Studio Purrfect Birthday. So I'll be using both of those for my sentiments. So let's jump into the card making. Card number one, I started off with those flowers. So even though I thought there was a lot of them in this collection, I do use them and I think they're really fun. So I started out with this flower pattern paper. I did cut that down to 4 by 5 1/4. Cut out a frilly border here, a scalloped circle for my focal panel, and then cut a piece of this really cute pink pattern paper with the little pink cat heads. So sweet. And then I'm going to use the orange little kitty and then 3 additional flowers here, a cluster to the bottom left hand side. For the sentiment, I'm going to stamp that out on a banner. This one happens to be from MFT Blueprints, and I will have that listed below. It's been sold out for a while. I'm not sure if they'll ever have it back in, but you can just use any fishtail banner you have, or you can go ahead and cut them yourself as well. So all of the products, including the full collection to the Chloe collection, will be down below in the description box. So for this one, I'm using the Sunny Studio stamp here, and the sentiment reads, "You are possum." I tried to pick the sentiments that were more friendship or uplifting for this set of cards. I think I only made one birthday card and the other ones were more general. And just to let you know, this time around, each of us is going to be giving a lucky commenter a card on each of the videos. So just make sure that you leave a comment down below on each of the videos if you would like a chance to win a card using the Chloe collection from Kristie, Mary, and I. So we'll each pick a winner in our comments section. It will be open for a week and we will just notify the winner by replying to their comment once we choose someone at random. So I hope you enjoy having the opportunity to have one of these sweet cards from each of us. So to finish off this card, just using a little bit of black glaze pen for the eyes and the nose. I do that on all of the cards. And we are jumping into card number 2, which I think is one of my favorites. So I chose the pattern paper with all the little kitty heads on it. So cute. Some of them have bows, other ones have crowns. And then I'm using this sketch from MFT, which I really love, the offset squares. So I'm using this blue pattern paper that says kitty cat all over it. And I did back that on some black cardstock there. And then for the front panel, I decided not to add black cardstock to that one. And I'm just using one of the brown kind of monochromatic toned papers. And I have this little cat ephemera here sitting in the box, which is like my Lila and Piper. As soon as a new box comes into the house from a delivery, they are in it. So this little ephemera piece gave me a chuckle. I did put some sunglasses on him, some blue to match that blue pattern paper. And then I'm using one of the new word dies from Heffy Doodle. This is the Hello word die. I'm going to use a few of these in my cards today. And I did back that onto some black cardstock for the shadow die that it cuts out for the word hello, and just used some white cardstock for that. So here's a close-up look at card number 2, and then we can move on to card number 3, which I love this little cat stand. We actually have 3 in my house for my 2 cats. They love sitting in them and on top of the perches looking out the window. So I thought this little ephemera piece was really sweet. So again, I'm using a sketch here. This is a pretty clean and simple card. I would say most of my cards today are pretty quick to recreate and have more of a clean and simple look. So I'm using the heart pattern paper, which I love. And then I had some more of that blue kitty cat word paper left over from the previous card. So I'm using that as the banner behind my stitched oval. And as you can see, the ephemera piece really fills up the majority of that oval, which I really like. And then I stamped out the sentiment Meow You Doin' from the Heffy Doodle Perfect Day stamp set. Again, just on a white piece of cardstock die cut with a banner die. And I did pop those up on some foam tape. So most of the images, but not all of them, I just went ahead and added the foam tape prior to filming while I was organizing all the cards, just to cut down on time. So there's card number 3. Moving on to card number 4. I love this cute little gray cat, so adorable. I'm going to use another sketch. I do use a lot of sketches for the cards I made today. And this one is a really fun one. I don't think I've used this one before. I think this was a new one that I printed. So for the background, I'm using this busier pattern paper with all the cats on it. And again, cutting that down to 4 by 5 1/4 just to leave a little bit of a border there with that blue cardstock. I'm using this gray tone on tone pattern paper with the little cat paw prints on it to go across the bottom of my card there. And then for the circle, I cut the larger one out of the blue cardstock and the smaller one out of some yellow pattern paper. I just happened to have a second one of the circles cut out. I cut out one that was too small the first time. And you'll see here, I'm just using it as some backing onto this circle focal point, just to make sure that it's level, because it is going over top of that banner with the paw prints on it. So I have that nice and level. I'm going to have my kitty cat beside the smaller oval. For this one, I'm using one of the stamps from the Sunny Studios set, and this one says, I like your Cattitude. I do use this sentiment a couple times. I thought it was really sweet and was perfect for this collection. I tried to use as many of these sentiments as I could from both of the stamp sets, just so you could see them all and how well they work for just kind of everyday cards. So again, just adding some cardstock there to the back to make sure it is level. I really like the design of this sketch, and I think this might become one of my favorites. So just to add a little bit of fun to our little cat here, I'm using a piece of the yarn ephemera, and then I'm also going to use a green little bow tie here. I'm just going to add that onto his neck. I just felt like he needed a little bit something extra. Again, using that black glaze pen for the eyes and the nose, I think it makes a huge difference on these ephemera pieces. And then I decided to use a white gel pen to add some polka dots to his bow tie. I think that looks super cute. So moving on to card number 5. I will be making 18 cards today. I don't think I mentioned that yet. So I know this is a bit of a longer video, but I had so much fun. Once I started creating, I couldn't stop, and I wanted to see how many I could get with the paper pad. So if you don't have a drink with you, you might want to pause the video, grab some tea or coffee or something cold, and just snuggle in and enjoy the cards. So this sketch is one from Mojo Monday. I'm using this, again, is a busier pattern paper that I'm using on the back, and it's these circular patterns with little star shapes in the center. I did go ahead and cut out the center of that paper with a circle, which I used on a different card, just trying to get as much use out of that pattern paper as I could. And it's not going to matter because you're not going to be able to tell that that's missing, because the larger scalloped circle will cover this. So you can see here I'm following the sketch pretty closely, almost exact, and just using a couple of the smaller pieces of pattern paper that I had left over from the previous cards to create those skinny rectangles. Again, just adding some cardstock there to the back where the top and bottoms of those rectangular pieces will overhang from the horizontal pattern paper, which is just almost like a graph paper pattern. Once I have those adhered down, I can go ahead and add my circle focal point here, and then you can see the image that I'm using is this kitty sleeping on some books. And there were some ephemera that matched those circular patterns, so I'm going to use 3 of those here. And once I had those on, I felt like I needed a few more. So there were a couple more that I could use. And so I'm going to use 5 in total, 3 at the top and 2 on the bottom. For this card, I'm not actually going to have a sentiment. I'm just going to stamp a sentiment on the inside when I'm ready to send it out. So once I do the nose here with the glaze pen, that will finish off card number 5. And we're going to move into card number 6 and 7. I'm just going to create the pink and gray one with you, but I did make 2 of these. I really liked this sketch, and there were multiple tags in the ephemera pack, so I wanted to use those. So for this one, I did cut my card panel here, the pattern paper, to 4 by 5 1/4, and then I backed my tag onto some white cardstock, and I popped that up on some fun foam, I believe, or foam tape. I'm just using some ribbon from my stash underneath the circular part of the tag. I didn't punch that out, I just left it full with the pattern paper, but if you wanted to tie some ribbon or twine through that, you could always use a hole punch and actually cut out that white part in the center. For my sentiment, I'm using Meow, and this one is from the Sunny Studio stamp. For this card, I decided to put it up near the ribbon, but you'll see in the photo of the second card that I made using this sketch that I have it down to the bottom right. But I do really like it up here to the top. I just think it adds a little bit of extra interest to the top of that card. I'm going to use 3 of the hearts here, 1 in gray, 1 in light pink, and 1 in the darker pink, just for some added interest. Again, a very clean and simple design. So just adding a few extra little embellishments really kind of takes this card up a little bit. I think the ribbon helps as well. So again, I'll use the black glaze pen, and that will finish off this card. I will add this to a white card panel here. And this is where you can see that the first panel is cut to 4 by 5 1/4, and you get that nice tiny white border. It actually might be bigger than 4 by 5 1/4. I think I actually took off only 1/8 of an inch. So here's both of the cards that I made. I think the one to the left could be a little bit more masculine, which is great. I tried to be conscious of gender neutral cards while I was making these. So moving on to card number 8. Again, using the pattern paper with the cat heads. I loved this pattern paper. And then I had a small piece of this blue pattern paper left, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this into a banner. Using one of Queen and Company's sketches here, I really like this one. You've seen me use this one before, and I think this is one that Kristie often uses as well. So you can see me, I'm just going to go ahead and put this card together, and just going to stamp out the sentiment here. I'm using "Have a Perfect Day." And this one is from the Heffy Doodle stamp set. So fit perfectly in that nice skinny fishtail banner die. I am going to trim off the sides a little bit. It was just a little bit too long. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're coming over from Kristie or Mary's videos, I hope you're enjoying this collaboration. We had a lot of fun collaborating with this particular collection. If you haven't seen any of my videos before, I like to do multiple card videos with stamp sets or with card kits, or like this one with a pattern paper, 6x6 paper pad. I also do a lot of alcohol marker coloring and other types of mediums, and I typically will include a lot of the coloring in my videos if that's something that interests you. So I do hope that you enjoy my cards today and will consider subscribing. For those of you who are oldies but goodies, thanks so much for being here with me. It really means a lot to me. So done this card, moving on to the next 2 cards. I did 2 of these, and this is going to be cards number 9 and 10. So I love this card sketch. This is definitely one of my favorites, if not my favorites, and it's so easy to do. You've seen me use this multiple times in my videos where I create multiple cards, particularly with the pattern papers. So just layering up those pattern papers as well as some blue cardstock, following the measurements on the sketch here, which are actually Kristie's measurements. The wonderful thing about Kristie is she often figures out dimensions for card sketches that don't have them, or the measurements, I should say, not the dimensions, and she shares them on her blog. So thanks, Kristie. It's super helpful. I don't have the patience half the time to figure out what the measurements are, so I really do appreciate that. So make sure to go and visit her blog at KristieMarcotte.com. She has a new blog and it's fantastic. I will also link to each of the ladies' videos down in the description box below. And at the end of the video on the end screen, you can just click on the photos of the videos and it will take you right to them. Also, you'll want to stick around to the end of the video because I will show what products I have left over. So once I have this card done, I'm going to show you both cards, and with the other one, I actually made a mistake when I was gluing. I meant to have the white cardstock behind the green pattern paper and glued it on wrong. So I just used some Spun Sugar Distress Oxide ink there to add a little bit of color to that white cardstock, and I still think it looks okay, but I was so mad I didn't realize I did it until it was definitely adhered down, so there was no pulling that out, but I still think it looks cute. Moving on to the next card. This card is super easy to put together, and I'm just using that fun cat paper here to the back. I have some of the orange pattern paper as a strip going across that bottom 1/3 of the card. And then I'm going to use the little sleeping cat here on the cat bed. Now for this sentiment, I'm using Meow and Forever. This is from the Sunny Studio stamp, and then I'm using the little mouse from the Heffy Doodle stamp onto a speech bubble die. I don't have the speech bubble dies that I used linked. They're really old and I don't think I'd be able to find them, but again, just find some speech bubble dies that you love and just have them be a staple in your craft room. Or if you don't have a speech bubble die, you can also very easily cut them out. So on to the next card, card number 12. This one I had cut a circle out of the center, and then I'm going to use the Sunny Studio Stitch Semicircle die here with this white pattern paper that has some triangles in various colors, and I'm going to add that onto the front of my card panel here. Cut out a nice long fishtail banner in some of the black pattern paper with the little paw prints on it. And then I added these 3 adorable little kitties, not popping them up at all. This is a very flat, clean, and simple card. Using another speech bubble here and the I Like Your Cattitude stamp. I just thought that that was such a fun sentiment, and I thought it went really well with this little cat to the right with her bow and sunglasses. So moving on to the next card, card number 13. I'm getting there. This card is the first card that I make without any cat reference at all. So I'm just using all of the flowers and some of the circle ephemera that came in the Icons ephemera pack. There's an icons and there's also a words and phrases one. So just make sure that if you want to create these cards that you are purchasing the icons and not the words, although the words would be really cute as well. So for this one, I cut my pattern paper down to 4 by 5 1/4, just leaving that little bit of a white border. And then I had a small piece of this. To me, it reminds me of almost like a graph paper. I know I said that when I used it the last time, but it's just, I don't know how well it's coming across in the video, but it's white with just a very faint blue square pattern on it. So I used that at the bottom 1/3 just to create like almost like a belly band across the card. And then I'm just arranging some of the flowers around the 2 circle ephemera. And this one I'm just cutting a little bit off the side so that it's nice and flush to that edge of the flower pattern paper. So for the flowers, I am popping all of them up on some foam adhesive just to give them a little bit of dimension. Now this card is super busy, that pattern paper is really busy, and the ephemera is really busy. So it's probably not for everyone. If you wanted to tone it down a little bit, you could just add a piece of vellum over top of the pattern paper. So for the sentiment, I brought in the Heffy Doodle More Classic Sentiments, and I just stamped the word hugs into the center of that pink flower, and I really love the way this turned out. Moving on to the next card, I created a little outdoor scene here with some of the ephemera, the house ephemera, and then the little kitty who looks like he could be going for a walk. So I used a scalloped rectangle die here to cut out some of the pink pattern paper. This has a really pretty, almost like a star pattern to it. If I had to explain it, I'm not really sure how else to describe it. But then I also used some of the green pattern paper with the hearts on it to mimic the grass, and I used my Lawn Fawn palm tree border to cut out my little hillside for my house to sit on. And then I'm using my swirly cloud dies from Heffy Doodle, which if you've been watching me for a while, you know that I love these clouds. Love them. I use them all the time. So they do make an appearance again in this video. Just going to add my house down here with some liquid adhesive. I'll trim off those clouds once I get this cat down here, which I did pop up on some foam tape. For this sentiment, I'm going to be using one from the Sunny Studios stamp, You're All I Need, which I thought was really cute. I'm just going to pull out my mini Misty here and stamp that. I didn't want to make a mistake because I'm stamping right onto the pattern paper. Just making sure I get that into place. And I am using my Versafine Clair Nocturne ink for all of my sentiments. This is my ink of choice for sentiments or when I want a nice, dark, crisp black image on my cards. So absolutely love this ink. Just finishing up here with some Nouveau glaze on the little heart on his collar, using some Nouveau shimmer pen there on the windows, and that will finish up that card. Card number 15 is another generic one with no cats on it, so I'm using a pink pattern paper for my background. And then I'm using the heart paper as the horizontal piece of paper that goes down that left-hand side. Now you'll see here I am using this Mojo Monday sketch as inspiration, but I'm not worried about the measurements here. I mean, there's no measurements on it, but you can tell by looking at it that that heart pattern paper is not as wide as the one on the sketch. But I'm using what I have left as I'm trying to use up as much of the pattern paper as I can. So I'm not really worried that it's not exactly the same as the sketch. And you'll notice as well, the little rectangles here that I'm working on will also be shorter than what's depicted on the sketch. But again, just using up those pieces of paper that I already had. So I am using some fun foam. I've used some fun foam a couple times in this video. I recently purchased fun foam that is adhesive backed with the adhesive on one side, and I will link to that one because I think it is such a time saver and worth the little bit of extra money. But for these cards, I'm just using up scraps of my old fun foam that I purchased like at the dollar store or something. So I'm just using liquid adhesive on both sides, but with the adhesive backs, oh, I love it. There's some things that I feel like are a luxury and don't really need to purchase. And I kind of felt that way with the adhesive back fun foam. And so I didn't get any until it was a special one day on Amazon, and now that I have it, I will never go back. It's just one of those things it's really nice to have. So if you have the opportunity to get that, I would highly recommend it. And it's so much cheaper than using foam tape. And I also like it because it's not as high of a dimension as the foam tape. So I like having both options, and this one is definitely great in terms of affordability. So I am just adding some fun foam as well to the areas where these banners are hanging off the rectangle focal panel. And then I have those little teacups to the top there, and I felt like it needed something to that left hand side where that circle is showing. I probably could have moved the teacups over there. I didn't try that, but now that I'm looking at it as I'm doing this voiceover, that might have worked as well. But I decided to use the heart, and I covered up the little heartbeat or the lines on the heart with one of the flowers, and I think that turned out okay. Decided not to go with a sentiment for that one either. So for the next card, this one at this point, I only have small pieces of the pattern paper left. So I'm really trying to use these ones that I've cut down for previous cards. So I'm going to use the little fish bones to the top, and then some of the leftover green pattern paper to the bottom. I'm going to bring in a little bit of this blue cardstock. I decided to use the Thinking of You word die. Again, this is a new release from Heffy Doodle, and it has that shadow with it, which I love. And I cut the Thinking of You out of that blue cardstock and felt like I really needed to have it somewhere else on the card. So I decided to have that backing this horizontal strip here. I cut out some of that brown pattern paper with a scallop die. That one is from Fawn. And then some of the yellow pattern paper, just cutting that straight and backing that blue onto the yellow. So I think it just ties in the blue from the sentiment nicely. So I will go ahead and just add some liquid adhesive to the back of my words here. Once I have all of the words down, I'll make sure to have the dots for my eyes. And then I'm going to use the little kitty laying down here. I feel like this card is very easy, very clean and simple. It's kind of at this point where in the process you start running out of steam. And also I find once I have fewer pattern papers left, it really makes it hard for me to be creative. So I feel like these last few cards are really clean and simple, but super easy to do. And wait till you see the last one I do. It is, I think, the definition of clean and simple. So again, just using my glaze pen here to add details to the eyes and the nose. I just think something so simple as this makes such a huge difference on these cards. I did decide to round my corners here at the bottom, so I'm using my old school Creative Memories corner rounder. If you still have this in your stash, let me know in the comments below. I've had that thing for at least 20 years and it's still going strong. So card number 17, second to last card, I only had a few strips of paper left here. You can see all my little pieces that I'm trying to stretch. So I'm going to follow this Queen and Company sketch here. Now the bottom will be much thinner than what's showing in terms of the pink on the sketch because I only had this little strip of paper left. But that's okay. I make it work. I just made sure that the scalloped border is a little bit wider than what's showing in the sketch. And then I do add a bit of that black pattern paper with the pop prints to the top as well. So it's going to give me a much wider strip across that card, but I really wanted to use up as much of the pattern paper as I could, as I already said a couple times. So just going to adhere this down. I've already gone ahead and placed my little kitty looking in the fishbowl onto the focal panel, which again is a scalloped circle and then with a white circle just cut out for the background. For this card, I'm using the Meow You Doin' from the Heffy Doodle stamp again. I thought that went cute seeing the kitty has his face in with the fish. So I thought that it's kind of funny, like he's kind of checking in on those fish, asking them how they're doing. So I am just going to add the sentiment behind my focal panel there. Just stamp that out onto some orange pattern paper and then just cut a fishtail on one side. So you can see I just switched up the sides of the circle. That's because the cat is facing to the left, so I put it on the right hand side instead of the left as the picture is noted in the sketch. So here's the final card. Super, super simple. I had very small pieces left. And so I decided to take my stitched heart die, this is from Heffy Doodle, and I just cut out as much as I could with the pattern paper, and I was able to get a few hearts here. And I'm simply going to place these onto a white card panel. And that will be it for the design. But how cute is this? The paper is so sweet that I really love this. It's super simple, but honestly, it's one of my favorite cards out of the 18. So for the sentiment, I'm using a bunch of different words here from the Sunny Studio stamp. And so I put together the sentiment, "You are my favorite person." So cute. And I thought that that went well with the hearts. Just to have it saying, "You are my favorite," and then the hearts. I thought that that paired well together. So that's it for my 18 cards. I'm going to slow it down here, show you all of the cards. And once I do that, I'm going to show you what I have left over. So let me know in the comments which was your favorite card if you had one. That way, if you are the winner of the card, I can send you your favorite one. If you don't have a favorite, that's okay. But it's always fun to see which ones or one people like the most. Because it's usually different from my favorite ones. So I think that that's really fun. So here's the final look at all the cards. Don't forget to go and check out Kristie and Mary's cards. I cannot wait to see what they came up with. I'll be over there watching their creations. I'm curious to see if Kristie used any of the same sketches and to see how both of them use the ephemera and the pattern paper. So super excited. I hope you enjoyed this collaboration, and thank you so much for watching. I'm going to go over what's left now. I did keep 3 of these full sheets of pattern paper. These were my 3 favorite from the collection, and I do have a mini album for my 2 cats, Lila and Piper, so I wanted to keep those to use in their mini album. I have a few scraps here, some larger ones, and then some smaller ones, some extra hearts that didn't make it onto the cards, and I will use some of these scraps on the inside of the cards. And I also have a few ephemera left, only 2 cats, so I think I did a really good job using up the majority of what I had. So thanks everybody for watching. Here is Kristie and Mary's videos. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!